Okay, I keep getting these alerts that keep telling me that Yammer stopped working on my system, which is fine. So let's just ignore that. So coming back to the part wherein we said that the products and the services that you want to create should be extremely innovative. How would you go around doing this? So firstly, you would love to understand what is there in the environment which is actually required. Now, how do you do that? There are some very simple suggestions that I'll give you over here. One of them is to look at the SWOT analysis, right? And let's say the SWOT analysis is the basic step that you are taking to go ahead and find out what's happening in the environment. Now, having said this, this is not just my recommendation. There is a wonderful professor at Harvard who's gone ahead and created a very engaging video. He put that up on YouTube also, and I picked a few of these things from there. So he says the innovation best practices which we would recommend to everybody, that is the Harvard University, is that firstly find out what all is changing in the environment, prepare to adapt to this change, deliberate how will you adapt. Environmental changes cannot be managed only by changing technology. Change the mindset of the organization. And that is what I find. The third point is what I find is very simply stated over there, saying change the mindset of the organization. But that is the toughest challenge. I myself, I've been through a couple of such episodes wherein the mindset of the organization, forget the organization, changing the mindset of a team itself can be such a big challenge. It can be extremely challenging, let me tell you. And if you really want to do this, you better be ready to face the consequences. There could be personal consequences for you, let me assure you that. I don't want to paint a very rosy picture. So how do you need to start? First, you need to start with a very simple SWOT analysis and be extremely cautious when you're doing this. Let me go into a little background why I keep telling you be cautious, do this, do that. One second. So changing the mindset of the org is the challenge. And I also, like I said, I want to share a few other things with you on our side over here, and why I keep saying let's be extremely careful. What I do as a profession and what I basically say that I am a consultant for is organization development. And whenever I will talk about organization or whenever I will talk about anything new, I'll be extremely cautious because I've burned my fingers so many times and realized that why do they really call organization development projects or efforts as interventions? You really need to take that seriously, it's called an intervention because it is actually an intervention in somebody's way of working, somebody's way of getting things done at work, and people don't necessarily like that. Nobody likes to be pointed out and being asked questions by anyone in the organization, or for that matter even nobody likes to do self-analysis also. Trust me, I can assure you that. There are very few people in the world who will say, yeah, I would love to fill up my own report card every day and see as to how I'm performing. Not many people will do that, and it is not to be expected also. Okay, so what exactly is a SWOT? I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. I just quickly go over this. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats, and analyzing those, trying to understand where we stand as far as our strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats in the market are concerned. Now, the strengths and the weaknesses are internal to either a person or a department or an organization, and the opportunities and threats are external to the system. Now, when I say system, it could be a person, it could be a department, it could be an organization, and the opportunities and threats are external to that particular system. So all these things we need to be cognizant of. Okay. Now let's say you have defined your positive idea. Now I was showing you a mind map earlier wherein this was the one wherein I was showing you something on creativity and innovation. So this is the overall framework or thought process as to how you can do that. Now let's look at something specific, a specific example from say knowledge management. let's say somebody comes up to you, you being the L&D person in the organization, and says, please help us understand how can we be more creative, how can we be more knowledgeable and make value out of that, actually capitalize on that. Now, having said this, this approach nobody will take, nobody will come and tell you that. So what they will come and tell you is there are some challenges. Our organization is facing some challenges, what everybody will say, and you being the person who's wearing the thinking hat for that particular moment will have to understand how these challenges can be resolved, and further how can they ultimately lead to some kind of impact on the, say, the top line, or at least the bottom line, if not the top line. Perfect. So say the top challenges are that there is stagnation within the organization. The senior management feels there is absolutely zero innovation. There is also a lot of disengagement amongst employees. So what you can propose is, you can say, okay, fine, I'll propose a plan which might take some specified time. So you've gone ahead and specified that particular time also. This is the top portion of this little mind map or infographic, you can call it, that I've created for the session. And what will basically happen is, you'll implement knowledge management in the organization, maybe at a very, very tertiary level, at a very beginner's level, but you will begin that particular process. How will that impact? So the central piece that you are working on over here is obviously the people, the most important resource of any organization, whether it is manufacturing or whatever. So earlier people used to say, even we were taught this when I did my, just a couple of years back, when I did my, this course from XLRI, a distance learning satellite course, I was told by one of my professors in that, one of those classes, that yes, in the manufacturing industry, you can always say that people are not that important. It is probably the, machinery that and that is old, that's very ancient thinking. In today's date, even in the manufacturing industry, you take the example of what all crazy things happened with Maruti recently, or what all crazy things happened in some of the other manufacturing organizations. There also the employees have started feeling that if we are not involved within each and every process of the organization, we feel disengaged. So people is where we begin with. Obviously we impact people, then we impact process, through which we will definitely end up impacting products. And obviously we will, if we are impacting products and services, we will start impacting our customers more positively. Those customers will again get into some kind of feedback loop with our employees and give us give further incentive to our knowledge management efforts. So this is the overall plan, so to say, the helicopter in view of things. What we need to do is two things. We need to do talent mining internally, and we need to also look out towards the world externally. So that's what these two arrows going up and down denote. Now look at the structured process. A structured process could be some kind of systematic automation that we might take up. We might get into some kind of application development. We could create a learning management system for the organization. We could further drill down on say our competencies and make them more make them less theoretical and more practical. And I really hate to say this, but each and every organization that I have worked with till date, and I'm being very frank about this, none of them had a competency structure which was working, which was functional. It's a sad situation. So that we can take up in some other session, and which I do. But anyway, so look at this. Now technically, we might not be an organization which is very, very advanced. So technology plus funding, along with skills development over a period of time, will take us from the structured process towards knowledge management. And obviously, over a period of time, utilizing that knowledge that we have created internally, that will become our intellectual capital. And once that becomes our intellectual capital, our senior management will have two options. Either they will start treating employees in a much better manner, which they do not in today's date for whatever reason, because they do not consider them to be resources important enough to be treated in that manner, or they will lose that intellectual capital to the external market, but ultimately intellectual capital will get created. Okay, so this is one mind map that I wanted to kind of share with you.